Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I am really excited because it is January 3rd, 2025, which means a new year has started. And if you're like me and get excited for the new year, it's an opportunity to just sort of reset. Like, obviously you don't need the new year for that. Remy joined us, but it is nice to have sort of that built-in structure, right? Like a new year, January 1st, and just being able to plan out a full 12 months of change, of something different, and really getting after some of the things that you want to accomplish, especially when you're reflecting on the past year and how it went, trials and tribulations, things that worked, things that didn't work, and what you want to do to check in. And I just think a year, sort of 12 months going into the next year, is a great opportunity to sort of check in and see if your life is where you want it to be, if your headspace is where you want it to be, is your relationships serving you? Are they fruitful? Are you lacking in a certain area? And I just think that is such a good amount of time to see change and also not to see change. And that's when you reevaluate, what do I want to do differently? So I have my notebook today and I wrote down a couple of things that I just wanted to talk about that were fresh on my mind, and I want to lean into a lot of these thoughts and feelings that I have. I tend to keep them just stored in my head or talk to just a select few folks, which is great, but I think that's where it ends most of the time, where I'm just sort of expressing myself and plagued by the same struggles over and over. And while some of them are out of my control, I also want to tap into what I can control. And a lot of it is like my reaction, my thoughts, the people I let in my circle, and so forth. So I just titled this Letting Go in 2025 because I really want to think about the future. I want to think about the action steps I can take in the future, not just what didn't work in 2024. That's a great starting point, right? Like, you need to do that inventory in order to figure out what you actually want to be different and what you want to do different, right? So that's just the first step. The second step, which is often the hardest step, is actually following up on that and committing yourself to this new experience. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to require you to get vulnerable. It's going to require you to shed tears, right? And it's going to require you to tap into your community so that it can hold you accountable, right? And it's also going to require you to utilize your resources, whether that's, therapy, whether that's your family, your friends, and whatever your coping strategy is to make it through challenges, because it's not going to be easy. Guess what? Life is freaking hard. The one thing that I will continue to say and die on this hill is that pain is a part of life. Suffering is where most people get tripped up, right? And that is where, from like a psychological perspective, suffering is where people then tap into sort of this overwhelming experience, thoughts, emotions that are now impacting the quality of my life, right? So that's where mental illness, like anxiety, depression, could really begin to brew. And there are times where, yes, it could be situational, but when we hold on to that suffering and we make it a part of our identity, right? Like, we're not creating this healthy distance. We're sort of seeing our life through the lens of suffering. And what we want to do is zoom out and realize that pain is just a part of our life experience, not necessarily what defines our life experience. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I was really, really moved by some of the language and the topic that was discussed. It was about essentially like letting go as well. And Sabrina Zohar, who I love, go check her out, said something to the effect of like, letting go is choosing freedom over fear. And I was like, damn, that is good. And that is hard, right? Because like, when I think about why I hold on to certain things, it is because I fear that if I let go, it will mean X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. Or if I let go, then I will be lonely, or I will be hurt. And that's what we fear, right? We fear those emotional experiences. We fear that, and that's normal. And that doesn't mean we can't tolerate it, and it doesn't mean that we're not gonna feel it in another way. In fact, I think holding on to something that is causing us a lot of pain is kind of doing the same thing, in the sense of like holding on to that fear is giving us a different kind of negative experience. In fact, some can even argue that sometimes it's more harmful than the actual reality of letting go and sitting in that fear. But when we sit in that holding on with something that doesn't serve us, we're just prolonging that feeling that we so fear, and we're missing out on opportunities where we can attract what we do want and what does align with us, right? I think my message to myself in 2024, looking back, is just to say thank you to the lessons I've learned, the experiences I've had, the seeds that were planted, because I really feel like 2025 is going to be the year where I see the fruits of my labor, and I'm walking into God's blessing, and I am shedding the weight that was holding me down in 2024. The choice that I'm going to make is to choose myself, to choose my healing, to choose what I will put up with and what I will not put up with. I will choose to begin that journey of self-acceptance, unconditional love. And I think about the gifts that were given to me in 2024, and I mean metaphorical gifts, that we didn't expect to receive. And I think about sort of the silver lining in the hardship and what I learned through a lot of that pain. And for that, I am grateful for receiving those gifts, realizing that I tend to hold on very tightly to other people's emotions and what they want, at the point of sacrificing my own needs and my own boundaries and wanting to consider others. There is a balance, and my pattern or my default is to lean into this black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, and forgetting that there is a middle ground, this gray area. And so there's this beautiful thing that I think I've really discovered in the midst of reflecting on the gifts we didn't ask for. It's this tension between wishing things were different and appreciating the growth that they inspired. And it's like thanking God for not giving you what you thought you needed or deserved, and realizing that we tend to see things at the tree level, but we need to be seeing things at the forest level. It is so easy to convince ourselves that if I don't get this thing, it means this, or if I don't get this person, I'm never gonna find anybody, or if I don't get this job, what are other people gonna say about me? That is just really affirming deep down what our deepest insecurities or core beliefs are telling us. Newsflash, thoughts and emotions aren't always accurate. They're just that, thoughts and emotions. And how do we create distance from those thoughts and emotions that we so deeply attach to and make meaning from to define who we are? So I wrote this letter to 2024, and I just want to read it out loud, and I want to continue to refer back to this and read this and continue to see what 2024 has inspired me to do in 2025. So dear 2024, you have been a year of rich lessons. You taught me to embrace my authentic self unapologetically and unconditionally. You reminded me of the untapped potential within me, often overshadowed by the chasm between doubt and self-acceptance. You showed me that enduring pain does not lead to destruction, but to growth. You revealed that while there's light at the end of the tunnel, darkness is a recurring dance, and the sun will set, bringing night once more. You taught me that home is not a physical place, but a sanctuary within, accommodating doubt without surrender. I often struggled to recognize my value, deceived by the inner turmoil residing in my home. Above all, I learned that the issue is not others' inability to see my good heart, but how I allow them to use it. In 2025, I vow not to abandon myself for the sake of someone else's self-discovery. So 2025, I'm coming for you, baby. Thanks all, and I hope you all are inspired to do this reflection, this inventory of what you want 2025 to look like and what you want to take control of and not allow it to take control over you. So I love you all. We'll talk soon, and cheers to another year of growth.